What's going on, guys? Chase with iDub Hockey, hanging out with Tyson, who's the Senior Brand Manager of Sticks for Bauer Hockey. Tyson, we've got the really exciting new Bauer Sling Stick in front of us. Before we start talking about all of the new exciting technology that we're going to find today, what was your goal, with so many successful ADV lines in the past, to coming out with a new Sling standalone stick and, to really improve on maybe past generations of similar sticks?
Yeah, so it's always our goal to try to come out with the most innovative sticks that we can into the marketplace. And for us, we had our ADV line. So we had a Vapor ADV, a Nexus ADV, and a Supreme ADV. So for us, the goal of that was, those were all very limited launches, very limited quantities that we put out into the marketplace. I think for us, we felt like we were ready to kind of take the next step in innovation and how we want to bring products to market when it comes to sticks and when it comes to Bauer. And what we really wanted to focus was to make sure that we had Bauer at the forefront of these innovation sticks. So really our goal now is to, for something like this, you can see we've named it Bauer Sling. So the focus is really on the Bauer brand and then really bringing to life that key technology that we're focusing on for that specific innovative stick.
Well, let's talk about that new SlingTech 2.0. The original made, huge waves throughout the industry. It was, very popular. It was still really popular at the NHL levels and seeing those tape jobs. And so I'm sure everyone is somewhat aware of that Nexus ADV, but the new SlingTech 2.0 is really improving on nearly every aspect of that blade. So walk us through kind of your goal, what you guys were trying to accomplish, and how you guys were able to do that with a new 2.0 blade.
Sure. So, as we do with any versions of technology, you bring them to market, but then you learn and you adapt and you try to come out with something that's even better. And that's really what the focus was with SlingTech 2.0. I like to tell the story where, obviously, as a brand manager for sticks, I get an opportunity to try, prototype products. And when we first had SlingTech, when we were looking at it and bringing it, I got a chance to try some of the very first versions, and the performance of those products were unbelievable. But for us, we always needed to make sure that there was the right balance of performance and durability. We knew if we were putting a hole in the blade, that was going to be pretty polarizing, and a lot of people might have had questions about durability, like, how can that blade? So we made sure we kind of erred on the side of having a blade that was very durable, but also having the great technology that comes along with SlingTech. So what we wanted to do for SlingTech 2.0 was really try to lean back and get as much of that kind of original mojo as we had in those first prototypes while maintaining the durability. And so that's where we kind of took a step back, reevaluated it, and where we think that we made some, nice improvements into this technology to be able to get as much performance out of it as possible.
So let's start with the most obvious, the slot. It's changed from what we saw in the past. And like you said, very polarizing, but more importantly, the performance benefits of the original and now this are vastly different from what we've seen in the traditional, whole list blade, I guess. So walk me through what essentially that hole does for the player as far as catching passes, shooting, and how does this new design change or vary or improve, I should say, compared to the original?
Yeah, so we made kind of three significant changes from our original SlingTech that was in Nexus ADV to now what's going SlingTech 2.0 that's in Bauer Sling. So we've created a new hole. We've created a new core inside, so underneath the carbon fiber wrap, and we've actually slightly changed the geometry of the blade itself. And when you combine all these things, that's where we're really allowing us to get to a new level of performance. So I can start with the hole itself. Mm-hmm. So when I say that we have a new hole, essentially what we've done is we've made the slot slightly smaller. So there's actually more material now in this toe area than what we had with the original SlingTech technology. And what that's allowing us to do is to get more stability in the blade. So we saw, after analyzing and doing slow motion videos with it, when the slot was coming out a little bit further into the blade, you're getting a little bit of movement during the big one-timers or, setting up for a slap shot or on some of those hard one-touch passes. So what we're able to do is by adding some of that extra material, making the slot slightly smaller, is that it totally changes that stability, and you're going to be able to have a lot more control over that blade when you're going into those scenarios that I just mentioned before, that one-timer or that hard one-touch pass.
Right. And then the other part of those scenarios is the feel of the internal core when you're catching those passes or when you're taking those shots. And that's what we talk about is blade feel when you're stick handling and all that good stuff. So the core, like you mentioned, is completely redesigned too. So, you know, if you were a very loyal Nexus ADV fan and you've been waiting for the next generation, this new Sling Stick to come out, how does the blade feel maybe vary, or how is it similar to what we saw in the past? And how is this new core improved on the previous gen?
So I'll do my best to explain this holding it up. So in our original Sling Tech technology, essentially what we did is we had a bridge that was going right underneath the hole. There was a bridge and then went all the way down through the toe and then all the way down through the heel. And we had the same blade core, so the same stiff foam throughout the entire blade itself. What we've done this time now, when we've reevaluated and tried to find a way, we really wanted to enhance and give as big of a sweet spot as we could underneath this hole in this area. So what we've actually done is we've redirected that bridge that was kind of adding that stability and that durability to the blade. And it actually now comes down underneath on both sides of the slot. And what that allows us to do is actually use two different types of foams within this core now. So we still have that stiff foam that's on the outer edge, again, to create that nice lightweight feel to the blade. But what we've done now here is created a little bit of a softer foam that gives and enhances the feel of that product, holds that puck to the blade as long as possible, and really, like as I mentioned before, enhances that sweet spot. So when you add in a little bit more material to the blade, and now you're adding in those bridges in that different spot in the new core, this is really now where you're getting benefits from. We're actually allowing us to make a more durable blade than SlingTech. So this is actually going to be 15% more durable than the original blade with Nexus ADV, but it's also really enhancing that sweet spot to allow that puck to come off the blade even faster.
So it sounds like it might even feel a little more dampened when you're stick handling. But more importantly, that enlarged sweet spot, you don't have to hit it perfect every time to get that full energy return. So whether it's a little more in the heel, a little more in the toe, you're still going to get that, you know, sweet sling, for lack of a terrible pun, off of the, you know, your shot compared to maybe before where, you know, you maybe had to pinpoint it a little bit better, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, you can think of it, you know, you see a lot of the golf companies talk about that bigger sweet spot on the face when you're going to hit the ball. It you know, it makes it a little bit easier to get the ball where you want to put it. It's a little bit more forgiving. It's the exact same situation as what we have going on with this blade as well.
So the last thing that we need to cover in this blade that, as you can tell, is completely redesigned inside and out is the new geometry. And we talked a little bit off camera, and it's really exciting to hear, you know, firsthand about it. But, you know, for those at home, walk me through what the new geometry is and, you know, how does that benefit this sling player?
Yeah, so when we talk about new geometry, we're specifically talking about the blade itself. So essentially what we have done is, again, taking learnings from the original Nexus ADV blade with Sling Tech and really analyzing how the puck is reacting to the blade. And what we've done is on the top part, so above the slot area on here, we've actually made this area slightly thicker. It's not really going to bother you when you're looking down at the blade. It's not going to look significantly thicker than a regular blade, but we have made it slightly thicker. Again, goes back to the idea of stability. So the top part of that blade is going to stay in place while you're stick handling or going to shoot. And what we've actually done is right underneath the slot, so right, works very well with those bridges I just talked about, is we've actually made this area slightly thinner. So when you put those two things together, it's a more stable top and a more forgiving bottom. You're going to be able to control that puck. You're going to be able to load that puck a lot easier. And ultimately, you're going to be able to get that energy in and out of that blade easier than you would before. So it really forces that energy into that key loading zone. So all three of these things are kind of working together, getting that energy in there. And essentially what you're doing is you're almost creating like an optimized kick point in the blade, right? So similar if you have a low kick stick, all that energy is staying in the taper. Now, really what we're doing is we're creating all that energy to stay right in that spot, that key loading zone below the blade, or below the slot, sorry, on that blade. So you're actually going to be able to release the puck 10% faster and be able to load it 10% easier within that blade versus what we could with SlingTech 1.0.
So to recap just this blade, it's got a quicker, more efficient release as a whole. It's offers a little more control, whether you're taking those big shots, catching passes, or even giving off those really hard quick passes. And it's also more durable, which, those are the three things that you're really looking to improve when you're trying to improve on a new technology or a spec of a stick. But let's not forget about the rest of the stick too. Maybe if you didn't check out that ADV, the Nexus ADV from the past, it has a similar design as far as the blade up. So walk me through what we're going to find in terms of materials and overall construction throughout the shaft.
Yeah, so we do have on Bauer Sling, we are carrying over our ER spine technology. So this is going to be a mid-kick stick and utilizing our highest end technology that we have to date on that. So contours your hand very well, makes it as easy to load energy into that stick, as easy to flex the stick as possible. Regardless whether they're using a 70, 77, 87, or anything below, you're really going to be able to lean in. That stick's going to do a lot of the work for you. This does have ER spine technology. It's coming in weighing 375 grams, so very lightweight, working very well. But we've actually improved the balance point versus where Nexus ADV was by about 5%. So being able to kind of remove some of that material out of the blade, it's helping with our overall balance point. So again, when we go down to it, when you're combining the shaft technology with the blade technology, we're really excited where Bauer Sling has landed and kind of the evolution of where this technology can go in today's game.
Yeah, and one last thing I wanted to point out too is that ER spine in that mid kick point really is a nice middle ground between what we see in Supreme as well as Vapor. So even if you are one of those two families, a big user of one of those, that doesn't mean that you should not want to try out this the ER spine kick point in the Sling Stick, because it is a really nice middle ground and makes it very, available to either one of those two families too.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've always talked about Nexus being our most versatile stick. It should actually, fit the most wide variety of players, because it does a very good job reacting to where your lower hand is positioned on that stick when you're loading and leaning into that stick to get energy in it. No matter what type of shot you're taking, it's going to be able to react accordingly. And so for us, we do think there's a lot of people, whether you are a Supreme user or a Vapor user, you could definitely gravitate to give this a try and see if you like it. But that's really kind of that ultimate goal is to make it as simple to be able to lean into that stick for any type of shot that you're taking on the ice.
Perfect, Tyson. Well, can't wait to get this out and try it myself. But more importantly, thank you today for sitting down and walking us through the new Bauer Sling Stick.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then for you at home that want to check out even more tech and spec, make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.